The Battle of MetLife Stadium is going down this Saturday. The Giants will play the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers is expected to play for the Jets. But there's been a lot of noise already talked about on Twitter about which fan base is better. And I want all Giants fans right now to stand up and rep your squad. Go down in the comments section and let the Jets fans know who the real New York football team is. Type Big Blue down in the comments section right now. Coming up on today's video, we got a bunch to talk about. We're going to start off breaking down the latest injury news for the Giants. There were 10 different players that were not participating at Monday's practice, headlined by Jason Pinnock. We'll talk about that. Also, we have some new information coming out revolving around Anthony Barr and the workout/visit that he had with Big Blue. And then we're going to give an updated look at the position battles, specifically on the interior of the offensive line, as there are only so many days left before the preseason is over and done with. But before we do, make sure you are subscribed to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, because when any news, rumors, game days, if anything happens around Big Blue, we are going to make a video. So subscribe and turn your notifications on. You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am Marshall Green. Let's kick it off with some injury news. Starting strong safety Jason Pinnock did not participate at practice on Monday. He's dealing with a leg injury, and I don't expect it to be too serious, but the Giants are holding him out of practice. I would be shocked if he played this Saturday. Brian Daboll is calling him day-to-day. And maybe if we didn't have a guy like Dane Belton or Gervarius Owens, I would be more worried about the Pinnock injury, but I love the depth that the Giants have really started to build at this safety position. Big fan of Pinnock. I expect him to be ready to go week one, but it is, I think, newsworthy that he did not practice following preseason game number 2. Dane Belton has been a ball hawk all training camp long, had that interception in game 1 of the preseason, and he had a tackle for loss on a tight end screen in game 2. Big things are coming for the second-year safety out of Iowa, but could Bobby McCain be on the chopping block? We'll talk about more position battles in a second, but let's shift from Pinnock injury news to just team injury news. There was 10 different guys that did not practice. Daboll has been really, I would say, conservative with the injuries. If you have any sort of nick or bruise or anything, they're going to hold you out. Tyree Phillips, though, he hasn't practiced for a couple of weeks, and I'm worried if he's going to be ready to go and be the Giants swing tackle this year. Jack Anderson also not practicing. Neither did Cole Beasley, and we'll touch on him in just a quick second. Gary Brightwell has been out for quite some time. Tommy Sweeney did not play in the game this weekend. He did not practice. Neither did Cam Brown, Ryder Anderson, Nick McCloud. We told you about Jason Pinnock, but also Cor'Dale Flott once again finds himself on the injury report and not able to practice a day following a game. What's the deal with Cole Beasley, though? Because he played in that first preseason game against the Lions, and he had a couple of good catches, and I thought, he's going to make this roster. I like the way he gets open on third downs. He's an elite route runner. He has that rapport with Brian Daboll. The Giants wanted to sign him last year. Joe Schoen and Cole Beasley couldn't figure out the numbers, but fast forward 8 months later, he's on this football team. And I wonder how many more practices can Cole Beasley miss if he wants to end up making this roster? Definitely some to be aware of about which receivers are going to make this team with Cole Beasley nursing an injury. It's also upsetting that we haven't seen Nick McCloud in a couple of weeks at practice, and we haven't seen him in a game or a preseason game so far up to this point, because I'm a big fan of McCloud. He can play outside corner. He can slide into the slot. He could play both safety positions, and with him not playing and Darnay, Holmes, and Cor'Dale Flott struggling at that slot position, I'm worried about the slot corner, guys. It's an ugly position on this Giants defense. I would say it's the Achilles heel of this defense, because we know Durag Darnay Holmes is not an NFL slot corner up to this point. And also, Cor'Dale Flott has almost been removed from the slot corner race. He's predominantly been playing on the outside in practice as of late, and that's where he lined up in the preseason game this past Friday. That's why the Giants, I think, week 1 are going to roll with Deonte Banks on the outside, Trey Hawkins at the outside, and Adoree Jackson in the slot. Not sure if that's going to be the plan all season long, but week 1 versus the Cowboys, Sunday Night Football, expect for Adoree Jackson to be in the slot, manning up on CeeDee Lamb. But if it's not Jackson for the remainder of the season, who do you want to be the slot corner for the New York Giants? Is it Darnay Holmes? Is it Cor'Dale Flott? Or is it the Swiss Army knife, Nick McCloud? Type the initials of the guy you want to see there down below. Let's transition from news to rumors, as Anthony Barr did visit with the Giants last week, and we're actually getting new details that it was a 2-day visit with the Giants. A little sleepover for Anthony Barr in New Jersey. Supposedly it went really well, got to meet the staff, got to meet the front office, and he really kicked it off with Wink Martindale. They went out, they had dinner, supposedly it went really well, and Giants Insider on Twitter said that there's definite interest in Joe Schoen signing the veteran linebacker Anthony Barr. And I think it's a good fit for a couple of reasons. Anthony Barr fits into exactly what Wink Martindale wants to do. When you go back and you watch the tape of Friday night's game, there were a lot of possessions where there was really one off-ball backer in the game. You would see Okereke in the game, also with Micah McFadden, but a lot of times you would see McFadden on the line of scrimmage getting after the passer and being a downhill player on the line of scrimmage. That is exactly what Anthony Barr is at this point. He could still play off-ball backer, but when he's on the line of scrimmage, pinning his ears back, trying to get pressure on the QB, that's where he excels most at this point. When you look at the depth chart, the Giants are pretty thin outside of Okereke. Micah McFadden is a promising second-year player, but I worry about really him moving backwards, dropping into coverage, and being a guy that can be a force on passing downs if he's not just pinning his ears back and getting to the quarterback. I like what I saw from Darian Beavers in the limited action this Friday. First time we've seen him wearing a Giants jersey since he tore that ACL last year, but I thought the sideline-to-sideline speed wasn't the same for the sixth-round rookie as it was last year. I mean, it does take a while to get back from that ACL. Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown, we know who they are at this point. Those are special team specialists. So you really only have one linebacker on your depth chart that plays off ball that has any sort of professional success. But also, Anthony Barr is going to help the edge rushers too, because outside of Thibodeau and Ojulari, close your eyes because, baby, it is ugly. I like O'Shane Ximines, but I like him more as my edge 5 and not my edge 3. Tommen Fox is a UDFA entering season 2, had some pressures in week 1 of the preseason, as well as week 2, but can we count on a second-year UDFA to be your first edge rusher off the bench? Bauer probably not going to make this roster, and Baldonado, who did look good in week 1, he is a UDFA, so you don't really have any sustained success at that position outside of Tibbs and Ojulari. That's where Anthony Barr could kind of slide in. I know the sack numbers aren't great for him over his NFL career, but we've seen the ability, especially last year in Dallas, to pin his ears back and get after the QB. 1 sack last year for Anthony Barr. He's been able to do a couple of different things in the NFL, and I think that him and a Wink Martindale defense could make a lot of sense. So I want to ask this question right now. Should the Giants sign veteran linebacker Anthony Barr? Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Type Y for yes, type N for no. We're going to get into those position battles and some updates on who or who may not play against the Jets in one quick second. But first, you all need to get hooked up with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. We've got your game. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code chat125. And when you do those two things, and let's say you deposit $100 into your account, BetUS is going to match that 125% deposit bonus. So you'll have 225 big ones to bet with. I've been betting on the preseason because I'm a degenerate and I like to take a risk. You can do the same right here, chatsports.com/bet. Remember, promo code chat125. Let's close out the show looking at some position battles and who or who may not play next week or this week against the Jets. I'm so excited. Week 1 is right around the corner. Let's start, though, on the offensive line because we know Joshua Ezeudu, Ben Bredeson, as well as Mark Glowinski, there's been a revolving door, and they have been shuffling at the left guard and right guard spot. What practice on Monday morning? A little bit of a different look for this offensive line. Dan Duggan, who works for The Athletic, does a great job covering this team. Give him a follow on Twitter. Tweeted out that the guard rotation has hit a new level today. Mark Glowinski has gotten a few first-team reps at left guard. He hasn't taken a rep there in a game since 2017. He made 16 starts there in 2016. He's a right guard by nature, but I like the idea that Bobby Johnson, Mike Kafka, and Brian Daboll are just trying to find the best 5 offensive linemen and get them out there. Also thought this was interesting from Duggan. He said second-year player Joshua Ezeudu, who has primarily been at left guard since getting drafted, got a few reps at right guard. Bredeson also getting reps at both guard spots. Like we talked about, I like the idea of getting the best 5 guys out there, not really dependent on the position. but I'm not a huge fan of in-game substitutions and in-game rotations. I want the best 5 out there, and I want them to play 100% of the snaps. Because as any sort of person, whether it be work, football, life, or anything, it's about chemistry, it's about continuity, and it's about confidence. And how are you supposed to build those up if you play one drive and then you sit another one out? You're in for 2 series, then you're out for 2 series. I don't care who the left guard, right guard is. Just get the best guys out there. If I had to predict it, it's going to be Glowinski and Ben Bredeson at those spots. Another position battle that we have been monitoring really closely is that inside linebacker 2 position. And I think it's safe to say that you can get out the ballpoint pen and write Micah McFadden as the guy that's going to play alongside Bobby Okereke. I liked what I saw from Beavers in the preseason, but I just think that McFadden built a big enough lead to where up to this point he is safely going to be the starter week 1. But I will expect to see Okereke a lot as the only linebacker on the field for Wink this year. I'm also not expecting the starters to play for the Jets, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because the time to win your position battle, at least up to this point, might be over. The guys that are going to be playing this Saturday are guys at the back end of this roster bubble candidates trying to get a job in the NFL. I also think it's important to look back to last year and see what players did not play for Big Blue in preseason week 3. It was most of the starters for Brian Daboll. Shepard, Thibodeau, Daniel Jones, Gano, C.J. Board. Wow, remember C.J. Board, Julian Love, Adoree Jackson. You see, pretty much every starter on this team did not play in week 3 of the preseason last year, and I expect that to be the same this year. So get your number 5 jerseys out, and let's see Tommy DeVito sling it all over MetLife. I'm ready for game day because once you finish up Saturday, no more nonsense, no more preseason. It's real football time. Who do you got in the battle of MetLife? Type NYG for the Giants, NYJ for the New York Jets. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate everybody who stopped by, spent a couple of minutes with us, and especially the people that finished today's video. If you made this far in the show, you're a real one. So comment that down below and make sure to hit that thumbs up icon.